today I've got some different stuff going on. I've got the amp mic'd up as always, but I think I got a good sound coming out. Okay, here we go. I was probably muted at first. Let me see. Yeah. So, I wanted to do this stream today because I got some new stuff going on with the streaming. I'm going to mic the real amp, do it that way. See how that sounds, if it comes through loud enough in the stream. I reconfigured some inputs, did some different things. So, the amp I'm going to be playing is the Mesa Boogie Tremoverb, and we're also going to do some stuff to set up a drum session because I'm going to be tracking drums tomorrow and show you how that works. I do a little bit of a different miking thing. I use two different mics on overheads, a ribbon and this large diaphragm condenser. Pretty cool. Let's listen to this Mesa Boogie. I'm going to mute this mic again. That's why I had it muted at the beginning. Did you like the theme song at the beginning? Let's listen again. Alright, let's listen to this amp. This is an old amp. I got it in 1995. It's a Mesa Boogie Tremoverb dual rectifier. It sounds cool. High gain. I'm just going to play it because I want to, when I watch this back, I want to see how it sounds in the stream. I was using my twin on another stream and it was a little hot, but it's the way I had the inputs. I was going line out back into a preamp, and instead of going line in, I was going like mic input in, so there was too much, it was too hot. So now we've got that worked out. It's all these little things, you know, as you do this, you got to tweak and get that shit right. You know, tomorrow I'm going to do another live stream, and that's kind of the theme of tomorrow's live stream is, how many hats we have to wear as musicians. We got to do it all. We got to get our music out there. We got to promote it. You know, do everything that goes along with making the music, which is sometimes harder than actually making the music. If anybody is watching, get in the chat. Tell me how these levels are. Also, subscribe to the channel. I dig doing this. I kind of like the fact that it's early on and nobody's watching. I can work out all these bugs. So, you know, it's all good to me. I'm in here doing this anyway. I might as well turn on the camera. Damn it. But let's listen to this amp. I'm going to mute this mic. Chester, my cat's walking around over here too, so he's a part of the stream. I want to show you guys in a minute this microphone. Very cool microphone. Awesome if you're home recording as well. It's great. We'll talk about it, but let's listen to this amplifier real quick. I've got it on standby. I'm going to turn it on, and I'm going to mute this mic. Here we go. All right, so let me put this back on standby. I think that should give us some levels so I can listen back, see how that sounds. I'm hoping that my microphone's loud enough. Like I said, I had to adjust some things with my gain staging, so hopefully it sounds good. It's like a lot of trial and error with this, and then, you know, hopefully it gets better every time. I had a half day off work today because I have an appointment, but I had a little bit of time to do the stream too before my son gets home from school, so I figured I'd do that. And I have one scheduled for tomorrow at 9 a.m. We're going to do that, so come check out the stream tomorrow. It's going to be, you know, I want to talk about all the hats we have to wear as musicians, and, you know, in this modern time with internet and doing it all ourselves, no record label, just trying to make music, get it out there, get it heard, which is sometimes, it is harder than making the music. It's the work part of it, you know, and a lot of times it don't work out. We'll talk about stuff like, should you pay to promote your stuff, like paid ads on Instagram, things like that. Talk about all of the stuff that goes along, not just the creative side of music, but the mixing, mastering, dealing with the distribution service. A lot of people have an advantage if they're playing live. I can't really go out and play live. I'm a single dad. I like to have my son all the time, so I make my music usually when he's in bed, or, you know, I take some time on the weekends, put him in there on the TV and make music. My most creative time of the day usually is in the morning, and so I feel like I'm most productive in the morning. And a lot of times, you know, it's frustrating because in the morning I'm at work and I can't really create, but you find the time when you can, and if you love music and if you're down for music, then you're gonna make it happen. And, you know, who knows, maybe stuff won't get heard in this lifetime, but, you know, hopefully we're making records of this that will last. That's a big thing, you know, with digital. It's like, once computers change, or, you know, your inputs change, like USBs changing all the time, will these hard drives even work that our music's on? Will DistroKid and TuneCore, or wherever you put your music out, will they still be doing this in 20 years, in 50 years, in 5 years? Or is your music just going to get lost? You know, that's a big advantage for people recording analog to tape, because the tape lasts, you know, for a good while, at least long enough to get it transferred into some new medium later on down the line. So let's talk. Currently, so when I record my music, I have 3 really nice preamps in my rack over here. I have 1073, it's a BAE, which is like an exact duplication with the same transformers and switches and hand wired like an E 1073 exactly. You know, they're The 80, they make ones in like vertical 80 series. They're actually interchangeable in Neve consoles. So I have one of those. Usually when I record drums, I'll put the kick drum through that, and then I have Chandler TG2s, which are the Abbey Road preamps. These are all 19-inch preamps in my rack, and the Abbey Road TG2s sound a lot like the Neve. They're maybe a little quicker, but they sound great. All of my inputs, everything I record goes through one of those. Even when I'm doing drums and have 8 mics up, they're still all going through that because I record through 3 of them, and then all of the tracks that just went straight into the interface and didn't get those outboard preamps go back through in the mixing stage and get that flavor from the preamps. So it really, I find that when I'm going, like recording guitar tracks or any of these tracks that I'm going through those preamps, I don't have to use nearly as many or any plugins to get them sounding like I want a lot of the time, because it's all built in there. All of the things that the plugins are modeling are there. And then I also run my mix. The full 2-bus master bus mix goes back out through the Chandler TG2s. So the whole mix is getting that transformer, that analog, whatever it is, one of the adjectives that you use to describe how analog sounds. It gets that, and I do an A/B on every mix, and I always, like 95% of the time, I've chosen the ones that go back out through the mic preamps. So it's a thing of like just percentages. You gain a little bit. Maybe it's not enough for you to spend that much money on these preamps or outboard gear, but a lot of times when people are thinking that way, like how much does it really matter, they're thinking about individual tracks, and they're not thinking of the accumulation of how all these things add up, because every track goes through them. Even the ones that I record into the interface go back through them, and then the mix goes through them. And like if I mix through pedals, then the pedals come back in through there. For one thing, you're going down to line level, from line to instrument level, going through the pedals, and instead of getting like a radial EXTC box, one of those boxes that is made to convert line level to instrument level and then back up, you can just run it into the input of your mic preamps and get that level back up. Go DI and get it back up like that. I do a lot of things like that, where you don't have to get the box that they say you need to do that. It's just about getting your levels right? So I really love patching things in, getting creative, kind of destroying sounds with guitar pedals is very cool. Or just any way I can route things different, reamping, all of that stuff is cool, and it works, and it's it's great. And it always usually adds a different character. Maybe you don't keep it in your song, maybe you do. But this microphone, this is the Royer R10. And I've got this mic about, I don't know, I think it was in April. I got this mic, if you're watching later, April 2025. And the way I've been doing it is that mic stand over here. It is, well, the camera's not going to follow me, I don't guess. Hold on just a minute. Let's see if it'll follow me now. Okay, yeah. So this mic stand over here is where this mic goes. So it's really facing over here. But this is the overhead that's over the hi-hat side of the drum kit. And then this microphone, if you can see over here, the one I'm talking through right now, this is the United Twin 87, and it goes up on the overheads over the floor tom and ride cymbal side. And my thoughts on this is, the condenser gets a wide picture of the drum kit. It sounds great right there over the floor tom, picking up the full drum kit, right? And you're recording in stereo, trying to get a stereo image. You don't necessarily need things to be the same on both sides. Matter of fact, you want them different. So putting up a different mic doesn't really create a problem, I've found. And I've heard people like Eric Valentine talk about this, like he talked about trying to recreate Led Zeppelin, When the Levee Breaks. And that song, he said, even though it's two U67s, I think, it's wildly different sounds from the left to the right. He said it sounds like not even the same microphone. So there's not really a problem with that. And I put this mic up over the hi-hat side because I find it a lot harder to control when I'm in the groove playing. I find it a lot harder to control how hard I'm hitting on the hi-hat side versus the ride cymbal side. So I can control my groove a little bit better on this side. And also this mic's a little bit darker, so it's quite a bit darker actually. But the picture it gives you in combination with this, it takes EQ very well, and it gives you just a wide stereo image, and it really added a lot to my drum recordings when I put a ribbon mic up, especially if you're home recording. These walls are great. They look like drywall, but they're actually wood paneling, and they're killer because like the reflections, I have a little bit of foam up. It doesn't do a lot, but it knocks down some of those high-end reflections, and that's the main thing you have to deal with when you're recording at home is the high-end reflections that you get bouncing off the walls. And these ribbon mics are a little bit darker, and the reflections don't create any kind of problem. Whereas with a condenser, if you're, recording in a small room drums, it's going to pick up everything. I can't have the air condition on while I'm doing this live stream because that mic will pick it up. They're very sensitive. These are very sensitive as well, but they take a lot more gain. A lot of times, if you're using just an interface, you need a cloud lifter to make them work because they need a lot of gain. The Royers are a little bit better than like the old school ribbon mics, but a unique feature of this is like on the back side, it's brighter. So if you turn it around to the back side, flip the phase on your mic preamp or in the DAW, you get a brighter sound than if you're using the front. I always use the front because I like that darkness and it takes EQ really well. So I had this mic up over the drum kit for 3 months, and just recently, like my last YouTube video that I did, I put it on that Mesa Tremoverb that you heard earlier, and just the low end it got was amazing. Go check out that video. It's something like you need a ribbon microphone for high gain or something like that. It's the last video that wasn't a live stream that I did, and I thought, everybody uses Shure SM57s on the guitar cabinets, which is what I use too. But when I put this up with it on both guitar amps, it's like having an API EQ or something and doing EQing your mix, because you can get that low end in a natural way. And if you're new to recording, it's easy to, downplay the significance of mics. Oh, I'm picking up the sound. It doesn't matter what mic I'm using, but it does matter. And it's probably the most important piece of the puzzle other than your playing and what you're doing, how you're making the music work, the song itself is the microphone. So when you have a few different kinds of mics, like a condenser, I've got small diaphragm condensers up for the room mics over there, this large diaphragm condenser, and this ribbon mic, and I really find it gives me a lot of options. Now, I do have to move stuff around. I don't have different mics up on every source that are just there that I don't have to move. Like, I have to take this one off of the drum kit and put it on the amplifier when I want it on there. Mics can be expensive. but this is a good one. A lot of people use a Royer 121. This is a lot like it, but about half the price. It's around $600 instead of $1,200, and it does a very similar thing. And for studio recording, big studios, they all have a Royer. These are great. Like, I was shocked how good it was. And so I'm putting that up. I'm in the process of putting that up right now because we're going to record drums tomorrow. If you're in the chat, leave me a comment, subscribe to the channel, hit like, do all that. So we're going to get this mic up real quick. If this camera is still following me, no. I've got this new webcam. I just got it last week. And it's cool because it follows me around, but if I talk with my hands like I do sometimes, it activates it to do different shit. So let's put this mic up. So it's going up over here. I do run this into a cloud lifter when I'm using it on drums, because my 3 preamps, outboard preamps that I use, go on the snare, the kick, and that large diaphragm condenser over there, the 87. So I put a cloud lifter on to go straight into the interface just to get that gain up where I don't have to get too much noise from cranking up the preamp. It's always like when a person comes on the chat, it's weird because I've gotten used to kind of doing these and nobody watching them till later. But I hope y'all do start watching live and interacting, because this is the shit I do, and I make music, man, and that's what it's all about. So right here, this is how we position the mic when we're recording drums. I put it right kind of in between the hi-hat and the tom-tom. So now it's in there, and that's something I don't have to do tomorrow morning when I actually record the drums. How do you all like to record? Do you do your guitars direct, or do you have amplifiers? That's a big thing for me with the streaming, because I have both options, and definitely the easier way is to go direct, but it doesn't get me the sound I want. Definitely not for my music. And then on the live stream too, I'd rather have the amps going. You know what I'm saying? Because I want it to be a real representation of what I'm actually doing here. And the only time I record my digital is just to get ideas down. There is maybe 2 songs with guitar solos that I went digital just because I was working out a solo at 4 a.m. It turned into a solo I wanted to keep, and it was done on digital, and I didn't want to relearn it to play it through the amp, and it sounded great. The digital can work good, but I find I need to mix it a lot more to get it right, It's just, it takes a lot more work with the digital, and when you have a microphone on the speaker, I feel like there's something about it where I feel like I'm actually in the speaker. I'm getting all this detail of the speaker, the paper, and the cone, and it's how I like to work for sure. So, yeah, it's a different thing. Let's plug in the Telecaster and play through this Mesa some more. Just, I don't know. I don't have anything worked out to play really. I just got off work a little while ago. I work at GE, by the way, just a little bit about me. I work at GE. I make dishwashers all day, but coming home is, where I like to be. I make this music at home, and I raise my son, and that's all I do. It's great to be able to do this now, get music out, do this streaming thing, because it takes a lot of work. It took me a long time to be able to record shit and make it sound good, and so if I can help somebody do that, I'm all about that. When I was young, I taught a few people, helped them get started on playing guitar, and they're great guitar players now. And teaching's cool, man, because music is changing, and the way people make music, like really make music and play instruments, it's not being done as much as it was. You know, it's still being done all the time, but it's like the music we're hearing, popular music, isn't like that a lot of times, and it shouldn't become a lost art, because it's the way you have to have real works of art to express emotion. You're not going to get that from AI. Let me mute this mic and I'll just play a little bit. So this amp is on the orange channel. It's a dual rectifier, you know, but it's a tremolo. So it's got tremolo and reverb. I'm on the orange channel, which is the vintage high gain. There's a modern high gain. It'll get really, you know, that modern sound. I like the orange channel a lot of times more because it's got a little bit of sag to it. Feels good. Um, the tremolo's cool on it. The reverb is, I like the reverb a lot on it, even though I don't have much of it blended in right now. Let's listen to the reverb on it. So a minute ago, I was playing this Bigsby pedal. It's cool because you can, like, if you just set it to down a half step or up a half step, or a whole step actually. I like a whole step better. But either a half or a whole step, you can bend into notes and stuff. I have to be playing it for maybe 30 minutes to really get back in the feel of it, but you can get some really cool licks with that Bigsby pedal. Check that pedal out. It's cool. People say shit about the latency with it, but it's not even noticeable really. People must be really sensitive to feel that latency because it's also got a micro pitch on it. And actually, that was my first video I did for the channel. I think I've made it private now just because my look wasn't good at all. And I didn't really have a lot of time with it, but I was showing how it could be used in different ways. You can even drop down to like baritone or even a full octave down to bass and like lock it in that way. Where are we at on time? I was gonna keep this under an hour for sure. We're only at 35 minutes. You know, I think let's talk a little bit about what we're going to talk about in the live stream tomorrow too. Just all these hats that we have to wear as musicians, because it's really a lot, and that's why I do this in a way where it's like it's casual. I don't stress out about it. I'm very serious about my music and getting it out there, and I make it like I work really hard on it. I don't put anything out anymore until I think it's right. I don't want to have to take stuff down and change it. And I mix, you know, I feel like I can mix a record and make it sound as good with the stuff I have as most of the records that I hear on streaming or on the radio. Of course, you know, the music that we all grew up with and listened to, that's classics. But I'm talking about from new music point of view, something you're not familiar with. You can get your music using the tools we have now for like very minimal investment. You can, if you work hard at it, you can get your music sounding like records as good as anything out there in the world. And that should be the goal if you're going to be releasing music. That's what this is all about for me, is the studio, you know, not playing live as much because I can't do that. If something happened and I had a song take off and do well, and I had the resources to put a band together to actually play that stuff live instead of me playing everything like I do here in the studio, that would be a cool thing to do. You know, that's who knows, you know, but that's always like a thing. It's a possibility. You never know. If you make a good piece of art or music or whatever it is that you do and you're passionate about, I feel like it has a chance because of the way we're all connected through the internet now. Stuff can go viral. You never know what can happen with things. I do feel like algorithms like YouTube, I feel it intensely that algorithms put you into categories, and they do as much to block you from being seen and heard as they do to promote you being seen and heard. Probably, you know, the way they silo everybody and put them in their corner sucks. Because now they're doing it and they're putting their artificially generated shit out there instead of you having a real experience with a human. That part sucks, and I feel like that's only going to get worse. But a good piece of music or art should be able to break through that, because the algorithms do what they're told, and if people You know, if something starts to spread, it can grow. It feels like an impossible thing a lot of times. A lot of people, and I've done this myself, if I put out music, I'll do a little bit of paid promotion on Instagram to get it heard for a little bit and see what happens with it. And they always usually get a lot of likes and great comments and stuff like that. But still, once that paid promotion is over, you're back to your standard views, whatever. Um, I feel like if you can do something like YouTube and show your creativity, that's a good shot. You know, trying to teach and do things musically where it's just showing that you're always creating and, you know, just being in that creative mindset. Nobody's going to know if you don't show people that that's what you do, right? So you have to make the effort, and it doesn't take a lot of effort really once you, I mean, it does at first. You have to learn to edit video, and it's all that can seem daunting and overwhelming. But once you got it, now I can make a good looking thumbnail in 5 minutes. And I can, you know, all I have to do, I've got this light up. It's a great light, even though I'm looking a little washed out right now. It's a great light. I've got you know, my webcam up. I got this new good webcam. I've got my stuff up where I can just turn things on when I'm in here creating and be recording visual as well as audio content for my music. I can be documenting that visually as well. So that's what you have to do, I think. I'm no expert, you know, I'm at 340 subscribers, I think, right now. So I've definitely not cracked the code. But all I know is I'm going to be doing this anyway. So might as well turn on the camera. You know, and you have to quickly get over these, like, don't be embarrassed about anything you do creatively. You know, it's great if you can work out some guitar parts and play those, but a lot of times, like today, I just turn things on and start playing and show what I do. So over here on the drum kit, let me show you the mic configuration, what I'm using, because right now I'm not using any tom mics, because usually the tom sound I like best anyway is the room mics. Over here, I've got them covered right now, but I have a pair of small diaphragm condensers, if you can see right here. These are the room mics. I usually move them forward a little bit over there. These are just AKG P170s. I set them up in XY to record the whole kit. And a lot of times on a drum fill, I'll bring those up because they get a really great sound of the toms in the room. And it sounds killer. And that's like the sound that I like to push on the drum fills because it sounds great. When I did have tom mics up, I liked the room mics better usually. I'm getting ready to go to 16 channels in here, and I think I'm going to put up top tom mics probably. We might experiment with bottom as well, but I don't need that, you know, cannon shot 80s tom sound really. And you can do a lot with really just a room mic to get your drums sounding explosive. Parallel compression is a big thing. And this mic over here, this is a dick mic or crotch mic right here, going in between these two toms, right over the floor tom, pointing at the snare. It's capturing, like, you know, all of that weight, kind of the undersides of the toms, top of the snare, and the batter side of the kick drum. So you're getting all that in that dick mic image. And that one sounds really good with like a decapitator and some like a DBX 160, just getting energy out of it. You have to kind of keep that a little lower in the mix because everything will get real ringy, and you know your snare will ring too much. But you just get that explosion on the transients. So you've got to mix that in at a little bit lower level, but it's a lot like doing a parallel thing for me. And then, so I've got a Shure Beta 52, I think it's called, on the kick. It's a, kick drum that a lot of people use, kick drum mic. That's a 24-inch Ludwig kick drum. Those are Ludwig Super Classic drums, maple, 9-ply maple shells. It's from the 90s. That's actually a 9-piece kit with double bass drums. I wanted to have room to still walk in the studio, so I'm only using like half the kit here. Big concert size toms, 2 floor toms, a 16 and an 18. Zelgin cymbals all the way around. Something with the cymbals, I have a couple of Brilliant cymbals, which Brilliant are the, really glossy like A Customs, or you can get the Avitas in Brilliant. The Brilliant thing a lot of times is going to be a lot more high end and a lot splashier. So something to consider is maybe not getting the shiny Brilliant cymbals if you have a room that's not very big and you're struggling with your cymbals. That can help. There's a lot of high-end in cymbals anyway. So the cymbals I have medium crash Zelgin. This is an 18, an A Custom 17. That's a Z Heavy Power Ride. That's one they stopped making a long time ago. It's got a big bell on it. It sounds cool, but really I mainly only use it for the bell. It's really, it'll sustain forever if you just hit the body of the cymbal instead of the bell. It's a 22-inch, I think, maybe a 20-inch Oriental China, Zelgin Oriental China, and quick beat hi-hats, 14s. Kind of the cymbal sizes like that were big in the 90s. Now a lot of people move to bigger, darker cymbals. I like the way these sound for my music. They sound great. I don't really, want to get anything different with the cymbals. I would like to put a Superphonic snare, and since I can't have both my kick drums, I am going to be getting a double kick pedal because I'm pretty good with the double bass drum stuff. So, and I miss not having it. But it does, taking away the extra bass drum does give you a lot more versatility on your hi-hats to do, open patterns and things like that. So, I just wanted to turn this on for a little bit while I had some time. I'm going to shut off this amp. I don't know, I might play us out a little bit, but play a little bit of this Bigsby pedal. I wanted to turn this on, do a live stream to see, how my amp's sounding, reconfigured, actually going line in instead of the mic preamp in. I didn't even think about that when I did it. I actually liked the level bump on the Dialogue and on the digital amp sim. I liked it being a little bit hotter, but when I played through my Twin the other day, it was like too hot. I just had on a Tim pedal, which is a V3 Tim, like a Timmy, but it's just the Tim. It's got a boost side on it too. And it was really hot, and it's a very transparent pedal. It sounds just like the Twin. I couldn't believe how crunchy it sounded. So come back tomorrow and join the live stream chat. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. I'm going to keep doing this, and I'm going to keep making music, and that's what I do. And I need to start shooting another regular YouTube video because I've been doing all this streaming now that I've got the setup and the ability to do it. I figured out some things with my outboard gear to where I could get all the studio sounds before I hit the DAW and get that latency. So I've been streaming. I'm going to try and do 3 live streams a week, at least at first, to see what kind of, if I can generate any views and any people commenting and, any questions or anything like that. And if it doesn't work out like that, I'll probably not do as many later. But for at least a good while, I want to see what I can get cooking with the live stream. So let's just play a little bit more before we roll out, because we can. If anybody's watching, say hi in the chat or something. Here, let me mute this mic. I might play a little bit of this Bigsby pedal. Like I said, I've done no warm up on that, and it's a thing you kind of have to work your way into by warming up a little bit. But here we go. Alright, and let's play a song to go out on. This was my first thing that I was really happy with, and really was like, this is a rocker, sounds like a record. Pixel Palm Reader, Thirsty Deer, go stream it, like, subscribe, leave me a comment, and I'll see you tomorrow on the next live stream.